Welcome back to Invest Global. Today we're discussing the amazing things going on with Polkadot rolling out their Parachain auctions. I'm going to be breaking this down to you in a very easy to understand way so you can understand what's exactly going on with this incredible layer one ecosystem, along with top 5 altcoins that actually have larger potential for gains than Polkadot in and of itself. Now, I woke up today here in Alexandria, Egypt, seeing that Polkadot doing incredible gains. I've made videos in the past, tons of videos on Polkadot and alternative projects in the actual ecosystem that have done incredible gains, like Polka Starter, for example, and Polka Bridge. And those are also ones that we'll be talking about today. But I mean, this is just incredible, right? On this daily time frame, congratulations for anyone who's been holding this project. I've done videos on staking. I've done tons of things on this. All of those videos will be linked down below in the description. You can also look on my channel in the playlist called Altcoins and then just search for Polkadot and all of those will pop right up. But to really break down what's going on here with these auctions. So Parachain, substrate, what is this in technical speak broken down into simple understandings? Well, basically you can look at different blockchain networks all doing different strategies, solving the blockchain trilemma. Polkadot is really focused on interoperability. So their vision of the future in the crypto ecosystem is all these different layer one solutions all working together, right, and connecting all those things. And that's one thing that Polka Bridge, one of the very low cap projects that I will be talking about, is focusing on having a really key part in, right? So with this, Polkadot is taking that place of scalability. And with this, you have to kind of break down how this is going to work, right? So if you keep everything on chain like Ethereum does and not have it separated kind of on side chains or parachain, you have a lot of issues with scalability. That's why we see massive transaction fees with Ethereum. People that are looking to be onboarded into the ecosystem are having issues doing so because they want to trade maybe just $50 worth of something, maybe just $100 worth of something, yet the fees are 25%, 30%, even 40% of what they're actually trading. So that's very important to understand, along with this trend of NFTs, non-fungible tokens. It's very important to look at the fees associated with this. So if a new artist wants to come into an ecosystem and create their own NFTs, their own digital art, but they're selling this for, let's say, $25 and the fees are $15, $20, how can this be scalable? Well, it's not. And the way Polkadot makes this scalable is through parachains. Now, you can almost think about this like one company. So think about, for example, Amazon, right? It's really a decentralized way of doing storage, of doing delivery. So they have all these different factories building all these different things. So Polkadot is kind of doing this where, okay, you can think of Polkadot like Amazon, obviously this is an analogy, and all these different factories doing all the different things, all the different distributions focus on individual kind of niches. So maybe there's a privacy focus like Follow Network, which we'll talk about. Maybe there's one that's more focused a little bit more on oracles, which we'll talk about here in a second. And each of these compete for this the overall network, right? So each of them have a different slot, and that's the Parachain auctions. And this is, again, I'm trying to keep the technical speak out of this, but just so you understand what's going on here is all these different projects are basically racing, right, with game theory built in for these key infrastructure things for the future of Polkadot. So if you hold the overall DOT token and stake it, like I talked about in that video, which will be linked down below in the description, you have benefits in all of these, right? So you kind of get each piece of the pie here because all of these other projects are kind of racing to benefit Polkadot in general. But the bigger gains, if you're looking for lower market cap projects, are going to be in these kind of ones that are racing for those different auction slots. So one of the great ways, in my personal opinion, to keep up to date with all these different projects racing for this is going into CoinMarketCap. Now, this is like the first step. This is very basic. I talk about this in other videos. But again, when you're analyzing altcoins, it's a very broad statement. You have to look at first what layer. So layer one. So what is the actual individual network that you're building on? So is it Solana? Is it Cardano? Is it Ethereum? Is it Polkadot, right? And then look at what are these different altcoins in the given ecosystem doing? What's their actual niche, right? So since Polkadot is cross-chain, you'll see a lot of them in here that are not just solely on the Polkadot network, but I'll point out some, like the Follow Network that I was talking about, that are. So Follow Network is here, Moon River, but a lot of these are also cross-chain. Reef, I really like. I've talked about that one a lot in the past. But things like, for example, you can see like Chainlink. Obviously, this is cross-chain. This is something that multiple different projects are using. That's a data oracle that powers all of decentralized finance. Now, obviously, there are different oracle projects like Umbrella Protocol, like Band Protocol that are doing great things. But there's also some really interesting things going on Polkadot with different projects fighting for those parachain slots, right? So they're auctioning for these, and I can explain this more in detail. And those are the ones that I personally like to keep my eye on, right? So you have different things. Kusama is essentially this test net. So instead of putting everything, remember, so instead of having it under that Amazon brand name, maybe they can test it out at a certain factory and then go for it, right? So, and if it works out at that factory, then you put it on the main chain. That's kind of what Kusama allows you to do. It's kind of this canary in the coal mine. I also have a deep dive video on this when I was in Istanbul, Turkey, that I made talking about what was going on there. Also, my background here, I'm not in my grandma's home. This is like an old school, really, really interesting Egyptian home that has all this beautiful artwork around it. And I'm lucky enough to be able to stay here, mostly due to all these different investments that I make, right? So I obviously do different things on the consulting side with second passports, residencies, kind of real estate all around the world, mainly focusing on emerging markets, but then also crypto's been doing incredibly well. And that's one of the benefits of travel. Egypt is very, very interesting at the moment, but little side thing over Reef here, very, very interesting projects. We'll get to more of this near the end of the video, but I did kind of want to deep dive on their website here on how Kusama has this laid out, because I kind of explained this on a broad understanding, so I hope you guys understand. If you want to see deep dive videos on what are Parachains explained, I can actually make that video. Also, if you want to see a deep dive video on any one of the individual aspects of these different tokens, like Fallen Network, like Reef, like Polkabridge, like Polkastarter, those are really the top ones that I personally think of. And again, we'll talk about that much more near the end of the video. Let me know in the comment section down below, or you can actually join our Telegram group, which is linked down below in the description. It's basically a group of like-minded investors all talking about global investment strategies, so you can definitely hop on there. I was really only hoping that group would get to like 50, 100 people, but now it's grown a lot, so definitely hop on there if you want to join. So unprecedented interoperability and scalability for blockchain developers who want to quickly push the limits of what's possible, built using Substrate. So you can think of like Ethereum, for example, is using why am I drawing a blank on the name? Solidity as the language. This is using Substrate, right? So kind of two different things. And with nearly the same code base and industry-leading multi-chain infrastructure as Kusama's cousin Polkadot. Now, this is like, they talk about the origin of Kusama and all these different things, but you can see, you can launch your own custom blockchain with this. It basically creates for this highly competitive space that I really, really love. Because again, a lot of this is just built on incentives. So the person who can innovate the fastest and the project that can innovate the fastest, they are going to do the best. And that's what I love about this, right? Open governments, advanced technology, engaged community, valuable experience, all incredible things. I am just very, very happy today with what's going on with Polkadot. I've been holding this token for a long time. I'll just say that. And, this rise is absolutely incredible. We still haven't even broke past this all-time high. So in my opinion, this is just a start. But I mean, when your initial position is back in this area, you got to have a smile on your face, right? So we can see here with the DOT token, we're right at $41, up about 17% on the daily, right around a $40 billion market cap, up 17% on the daily, fully diluted right at $45 billion. Volume is actually pretty low considering, but up 186%. That's pretty much all. So we can also move into here. I'm talking about the Parachain slot auctions. The key to Kusama scalable multi-chain architecture, Parachains connect the network by leasing slots on the relay chain via permissionless auctions. The relay chain is the main Polkadot chain, right? So that's like the Amazon. That's like the overall parent company. And again, obviously these are not companies. Polkadot is very, very decentralized. And then all these other things around it, again, are kind of like other factories. You can think about these like, supply chains, right? So all these different factories, most of them are obviously automated, but these are each of these different niches around that circle, right? So the circle where my head is that relay chain, and then all these other ones, the parachains, and for each of these different slots, they're auctioning off, right? And there's actually a bonding process. I can do a more detailed video if you guys want on that, but again, this video is just kind of talk about what's going on here with the Parachain auctions and also these other altcoins. So I mean, they say expect chaos, right? This is game theory. This is all these other things built in. So how do teams participate? The path to launching the Parachain on Kusama will differ from team to team by a typical process that could look something like this. So you design a parachain built using substrates, then you test and optimize it locally on a testnet like Roko, determine the slot, lease auction strategy, and obviously you have to build community along with all of this. Join the auction and bid for approximately 1 week, deploy the acquired slots after the start of the lease, and then renew at the end of the lease period by joining another auction. So very, very interesting here. You can see all these different mechanics. Again, I don't want to bore you guys too much on this, but you can see this is the auction schedule, all these different things rolling out. And again, one of the best ways, in my opinion, to keep up to date with this is on Twitter. You got to follow Polkadot on Twitter. You got to follow corresponding projects on Twitter. I personally don't have enough time to always be on Twitter, but if you guys want, you can follow us at investglobal_io. We'll also have it linked down below in the description, because it's really good to keep up to date with things going on new, especially if you're a trader. I mean, you can trade a lot on sentiment here. A lot of these things get pumped up off sentiment, but also be very careful with that. I have a full video on how to do your own research down below in the description. So before you kind of jump into any project, before you FOMO in, or people call it ape in the crypto space, definitely do your own research, definitely understand fundamental, technical, on-chain, and sentimental analysis. And I talk about that in the how to do your own research video. But yeah, back to this. Here, I was going to show you guys this last thing, then we'll talk about these last little altcoins here. So you can see this is how these crowd loans work, which is very, very important. And again, this is kind of that bonding process. So first, the team creates a crowd loan campaign. So you can think about this kind of like crowdfunding, right? So if a new like project like Kickstarter, you want to build a new product, you have all these people come in. It's the network effect of capital. That way you can push your project forward versus funding it yourself like it's done throughout the majority of history. Now it's beautiful because you can have a community around you where, hey, maybe people are just tossing in $50, $100 because they believe in what you're doing. Similar here, but in more of a decentralized crowd loaning mechanism, right? So setting a maximum of total allowed contributions for a campaign end date to account for the possibility of losing one or more auctions. A campaign can last for several auctions and invites their community to participate. Crowd loan contributors initiate a special transaction allocating transferable KSM, so Kusama tokens, to the campaign's index. KSM contributions can be submitted through the duration of the crowd loan campaign or until an auction is won, up to the maximum amount of the contributions set by the Parachain team by creating a campaign. So if there are enough contributions to win an auction, the chain is automatically deployed at the start of the lease. And the full amount of KSM contributed to the campaign index will remain locked in for the duration of the lease. Crowd loaned KSM can be unlocked and returned to contributors' control at the end of the lease period. So that's very, very important to understand. Again, they have a great video on this. But lastly here, to end it out with some of these projects, I did want to point out some of these in their market cap just to keep in mind. So again, you can see kind of these top guys right here. Obviously, Polkadot, KSM, this is purely for the Polkadot ecosystem. Then these other ones, since it's a cross-chain, are included in here. You have Ontology. Again, those are kind of all included in there. But Reef is very, very interesting, relatively low market cap of $364 million. When I first started talking about it, it was a very, very tiny market cap. I guess so that's the reason I thought it was lower market cap, but it has really exploded since I originally talked about it. So keep that one in mind. Again, personally, when I'm looking at a layer one and I'm looking at investing in different altcoin projects inside that, I like to diversify into different risk levels. So obviously the lower market cap, the higher the risk level, the higher the market cap, the lower the risk level. Tongue twister, relatively, right? So beyond that, we have Follow Network. Like I said, this is one that will be competing for one of those Parachain auction spots. This is focused on more on privacy, so that's very, very important to understand. You have Moon River, MOVR right there. Centrifuge, let's see, Pokestarter, one that I absolutely love. Launchpad Ecosystem Map Series is a playlist on my channel. I go through all the different launchpads. Basically, this is the idea of private sales or ICOs. Or in the stock market space would be an IPO, right? So when it basically gets released to the masses, and you want to be in before that. So Pokestarter essentially allows you to get in early on a lot of these different Polkadot projects. They're going to be building the future of this ecosystem out. So that's very important to look at. Beyond that, we have things like Acropolis. Now, I absolutely love Acropolis. I talk about that a lot in our daily DeFi series. Acropolis, what are we sitting at here? Yeah, we're sitting at a market cap of $98 million, so under $100 million. Volume is around $20 million. Let's see beyond that. So we have Mantra DAO. What was the other one I did want to talk about? Parsec is incredible, but again, that's cross-chain, so that's not just specifically with Polkadot. This is an honorable mention here with PDEX. It might not be the overall DEX that will actually win out. Again, since it's interoperable, maybe one of these other ones from another chain will be the main one used on Polkadot. But I would like to see another project be competing with PDEX because it has a lot of things that could be improved by it personally, in my opinion. A market cap is $60 million, but again, not a bad project if you're looking at a long-term because, you look at different things like, for example, on Ethereum, you have SushiSwap, which is really, really cross-chain. You have Uniswap. You have all these different decentralized exchanges. You also have Kylan here, which is another one that I was talking about. This is one that I actually really, really like. But again, all of them, you have to be very careful buying in right now. I would be looking at a pullback on a lot of these things. Again, the reason I'm making this video is because I'm assuming a lot of people that watch this have been holding Polkadot for a long time, have been watching this ecosystem. I've talked about this a long, long time ago. So everyone watching this, enjoy your gains. Maybe you can come out here to Egypt and explore around a little bit. But and then Poker Bridge here really didn't have that rally like a lot of these other ones. But Poker Bridge is also very, very interesting. Again, building that kind of key infrastructure play in the cross-chain interoperability space with what Polkadot is doing. So that's all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, definitely hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, stay up to date, hit the notification bell, and click all. If you enjoyed the video, definitely go down below in the description and check out all the links. You can check out our Twitter at investglobal_io, same with Instagram. Then we also have our website, just investglobal.io. If you want to work with us one-on-one, crypto consulting, second residencies, citizenships, international real estate, whatever it is, you can schedule a call with us there. Beyond that, I mean, that's pretty much all. Invest global, and until next time.